Hello, my name is Kathy, and today I'll start the discussion on astral visits within dreams. But before I do this, I wanted to let you know that because I have a great many videos now on many different topics, that I've decided to make several different video playlists so that it's easier to find the videos of greatest interest. So please check out my playlist page. It's because of our conflicted emotions surrounding loss that we sometimes manage to blend astral visits into other kinds of dreams, with results that can be very confusing and upsetting if we don't understand what's happening. Astral visits often get incorporated into dreams that we are having, just like things like ringing phones or some other sound gets incorporated into a dream we're having. I think we have all had the experience at some time or another of this type of thing happening. The blurring of reality in the dream world is really perfectly common and is all that is happening when astral visits and dreams seem to be one and the same. In our first example, we have a woman whose husband passed away a couple of years prior to her dream experience in an ATV accident. Since that time, she has experienced two recurring dreams that are really upsetting to her. In one of the dreams, she is standing talking to some people when she is touched from behind. She said that her late husband used to put his arms around her, but it always startled her, and as a reflex, she would push him away. Then she realized who it is in her dreams, and she screamed for him to come back. But in the dream, he just keeps walking away without ever turning around again. In the other dream, he is sitting in the middle of a group of friends, and the woman is struggling to get through the crowd to see him. But when she finally gets there, he is gone. Everyone is walking away, laughing and talking about how good he looks and how happy he is. And the woman just stands there screaming his name. In both dreams, she only sees the back of him and hears his voice. Never does she see his face. She is hoping that someday she will be able to talk to him. He left so suddenly. One morning, he just walked out of the house to go ATV riding and never returned. This is a classic example of astral visits combined with release dreams. What's really going on here is that this woman's late husband is visiting her while she sleeps, and she's absolutely seeing him, which is wonderful and not something everyone is able to do. So that part is cause for celebration. What's preventing these from being happy encounters is the fact that the woman is still trying to recover from the shock of the sheer suddenness of losing him. Still trying to come to terms with the tragic loss of waking up with her husband one ordinary morning and going to sleep that same night widowed and alone, unable to remember what ordinary even felt like. And if you look at the scenarios of both of these dreams from an emotional point of view, they represent exactly what the circumstances of that last morning felt like to her. He left, and he never came back. And she was powerless to do anything to change it. Working his astral visits into release dreams that express how abandoned she feels is so understandable, and a natural part of grieving when you lose someone with no way in the world of seeing it coming and being able to prepare for it. This woman's husband will still keep coming while she is asleep, and while she is awake at all hours of the day and night. And as her shock and depression continue to fade, even though it's taking longer than she would like, she will find that the release dream part of his visits will fade. She will see him walking towards her, not away from her, and she will hold him, and she will wake up knowing they have been together while she slept. Until then, she will need to talk to him and tell him all about what she is feeling and how she misses him and she loves him, and even how angry she is at him for leaving her if she wants. He will hear her and understand, and it will help her feel less separated from him, which will lead to many good visits with him as time goes on. In our next example, we have another woman that has been widowed for a couple of years. Her husband has been on the other side for 2 years. She always talked to him and asked him to come to her in her dreams. She says it is rare that he visits her in her dreams, but when it happens, he never seems to acknowledge that she is there. She gets so sad that they don't talk to each other on these rare visits. She was wondering if there was a reason for that. What she really wants out of these astral visits is to know for herself that he is happy and that she has so much to tell him. It must be wonderful for this woman that she is able to see her husband when he comes to her while she sleeps, and the fact that he shows up when she asks him to, no matter how rarely, tells her that he can hear her. She can tell him all those things she wants to. He will hear that too, and there will be lots of visits in the future where he assures her of that himself, when her healing is farther along. For now, the woman can take heart in knowing that he comes and that she can actually see him, and rest assured that her perception that he is ignoring her is just her natural release stream way of working through her grief over losing him, which can so often feel like a form of abandonment and even rejection. In our next example, we have a woman that experienced a similar theme with a slight variation. Both of this woman's parents have passed. She has very vivid dreams. What bothers her is that when she dreams of her mother, she is never smiling and doesn't talk. But when she dreams of her dad, he makes her laugh and is full of life. She doesn't know why her mother never seems to be happy with her or for herself. She always talked of being happy when she got to heaven, and she wants to understand why she isn't. This is another example of an astral visit and a release stream. This woman's mother is happy. The happiness the woman is seeing in her mother is actually her own, and it comes from the woman's fear that her mother hasn't found the happiness on the other side that so often seemed to be beyond her grasp through this particular lifetime. In this case, the woman is working her parents' visits into release streams that reflect the unresolved and quite complicated relationship problems that she had with her mother through her life. In contrast, for the uncomplicated and fairly easygoing bond between herself and her father. You might be wondering at this point how you can reliably know that astral visits from deceased loved ones who seem unhappy or displeased or dismissive or resentful are just release streams and not a reflection of how they are really feeling. The answer is simple. The fact is that all negative emotions are human and earthly. We come here to feel them, confront them, and do our best to overcome them, but they don't exist in the spirit world. The other side is bliss, perfect love in the immediate presence of the Creator, the angels, the messiahs, our soulmates, and countless magnificent kindred spirits we have always known and always will know. Unhappiness at home on the other side, or from anyone visiting from the other side, is an impossibility. So rest assured that any time you are visited by a spirit who is offering anything less than complete and unconditional love, joy, and peace, that spirit has simply become part of a portrayal of your own unresolved emotional pain. As with all release streams, you can use this information to clarify where the pain is coming from and what you need to do about it. And no one will be happier for you than those spirits who are surrounding you and who wait as long as it takes for you to look back at them while you sleep with the same pure adoration with which they are looking at you. It's a weird twist with people how reluctant we are to believe good news, no matter how obvious it is or how simple. We almost seem programmed to be skeptical when something good happens and immediately start thinking, what's the catch? Or you may think that it is probably just something that you imagined. So when the best news of all comes along, when we discover that the deceased loved one isn't deceased at all, and that in fact they are very much around, loving us and watching over us, we seem almost determined to believe anything but the truth. If we accept that the spirit survives the death of the body, why shouldn't we expect that those spirits can interact with us? Most people, when they have reached adulthood, have been tricked before, and they have learned that some things on earth really are just too good to be true. This is often the truth of things. However, too good to be true doesn't apply to the spirit world. In our next example, we have a woman that shortly after her father passed away, she had a very vivid dream of him standing next to her bed. In the dream, he very gently touched her right cheek, and she immediately awoke. She could feel his presence and still feel his touch on her face. Of course, this was an astral visit from her father. In our next example, we have a man that had a dream about his dad after he passed away. He had a massive heart attack. This man took his father to the hospital and he didn't make it. In the dream, he was telling him how sorry he was and how he felt like maybe it was his fault. In the dream, the man's father told him that everything was okay. This man's father is happy and healthy and was assuring the man that there was nothing for him to be sorry for. The man did exactly what he should have done when he took him to the hospital. It is important to understand that spirits from the other side say what they mean and mean what they say. Nothing more, nothing less. That much simplicity can throw us when we are not accustomed to it, but it is a refreshing break from all the guesswork we go through in conversations with other humans. In our next example, we have a woman whose grandfather passed on. She was very close to her grandfather, and shortly after he passed away, on that same night in fact, she had a very vivid dream. In the dream, she was walking down the hall of the hospital he was in, and when she entered his room, he was standing up by his bedside, removing the tubes that had helped him breathe. He looked at her and said, "I am not going to worry about you anymore." She said that it felt so real. Of course it was real. It was real. The woman knows that her grandfather hated knowing how sad she was because of him in his last days, and hated knowing how much she was going to miss him. But the fact is, the moment our spirits reach the other side, they regain all the wisdom and knowledge and awareness of eternity that we lose sight of here on earth. As a result, they don't spend another instant worrying about us because they know there's nothing to worry about. We will all be together again in no time at all as far as they are concerned, and we will literally be living happily ever after. Her grandfather was telling her he was home safe and sound and will be for her, watching over her from now on. In our next example, we have a woman that was having dreams about her maternal grandmother, but they were not always comforting dreams. They usually occurred in a dark place, and the woman's grandmother tends to ignore her in the dream. The woman's grandmother had passed away 21 years ago, both in the dream and in real life, and in the dream she said she was coming back for another lifetime. Although the woman doesn't remember either one of them saying a word to each other, the woman did not understand why her dreams about her grandmother aren't light and happy like they used to be. This woman's grandmother already told her herself, her spirit is so strong, as in the bond between the two of them, that she visited her from where she is right now, which is in utero, waiting to be born. That's why it was dark. She wasn't ignoring her, as she seemed to be during her visit. It's just that once the spirit has entered the fetus to prepare for birth, it begins the process of the most difficult transition any of us ever go through, birth, which is much rougher than death. It took great determination for this woman's grandmother to come to her from the womb, so close to her rebirth. I have a great many videos now on many different topics, and so I've decided to make several different video playlists so that it's easy to find the videos of greatest interest. So please check out my playlist page. Well, that's it for now. To stay up to date with my latest videos, make sure to subscribe to this free YouTube channel by clicking the red subscribe button right below this video. Take care.